Hi, welcome to Home Farm. Today we're reviewing the Bushwhacker 16 megapixel wildlife scouting camera.
So we live in the Welsh borders and we're very lucky to just absolutely be surrounded by so much wildlife. We have farmland around the property 360 degrees, which really means that we get an awful lot of wildlife that comes in at different times of the year. On a typical day we will see partridge, pheasants, squirrels, rabbit, ducks, moorhens, kites, buzzards, all the usual garden birds, a whole bunch of different things. Oh, variety. The heron comes in, we've got fish in the pond. So we've got an awful lot of activity that happens in and around our area, and we just really wanted to start capturing it and seeing, especially at night time or at dusk when we're back in the property or back in the house and you're just not really sure what's going on. So it's really nice when you see tracks and trails that have made their way through kind of different parts of the garden and in our fields, and you're kind of thinking, okay, I wonder what that is. So it's been really something that we've wanted to do for a long time, was to get a trail cam and just set it up and just start to see what's out there.
So the guys at Pack Attack will put the link below, very kindly sent us this trail camera from Bushwhacker. In addition to that, they sent us some rechargeable batteries and an SD card. And I've got to say, this is the first time we've used the trail cam, and I've been really impressed by what they can actually do. So we've set up a variety of different security cameras around the property. They are very technical, you know, there's a lot of settings, a lot of stuff that you can do. What I absolutely love about this Bushwhacker is the simplicity. You know, the settings are so easy. You literally choose how you want it to film, when you want it to film, put it on, you leave it, and it just does its thing. So we've set ours up to actually take a photo every single time and then film the video after that. You can set it up in any number of ways. You can actually take 3 photos or 4 photos, you know, basically a whole batch of photos if you only want to take photos, or you can do what we've done, photo plus video, and you can actually set it up to record the video up to 60 seconds. The only thing with that is if you position the camera in a high traffic area, it starts to fill the SD card really quickly, and what's nice about it is it doesn't actually overwrite the previous footage. So it'll basically just get to a point when the SD card fills up, it simply stops recording so that you're not actually losing anything that you've recorded prior to that. So the first few times that we actually did use the camera, we used it here by the pond. We put it in a place where we actually feed the pheasants and the ducks, and that camera just filled up in the space of about an hour. You do have to be a little bit strategic with where you want it to actually position it. So now we're going to start experimenting a little bit further. We're going to go further down into the field where you mentioned, you know, if the grass has been knocked down as a trail. I know we've got badgers. We've only, I think, seen it once on one of our security cams. It would be fantastic to capture one of those. So we are going to start, you know, thinking a little bit more as to where we can put this camera to capture some things that we haven't necessarily seen. In addition to that, we've had problems in our vegetable garden in the past with things breaking in and munching on our vegetables. So we've actually put up security cameras in the past, which was a real hassle to actually get up. Something like a trail cam just is so much easier because you can just take this, put it wherever you want to, and it'll just start recording any movement that happens anywhere near there. As I said, the camera is really simple to use. It probably takes about 10 minutes at the outset just to get your settings right for what you want it to actually do. The camera does record in 4K. The only thing is it does that at 20 frames a second. So when you actually do take that footage and you play it on your computer, on your iPhone, it is actually going to be a bit bitty and a bit jumpy. So because of that, we just record in 1080p, which is HD, and that records at 30 frames a second. When you open the camera and you look inside, there's a little LCD screen. That basically allows you to change your settings. It's quite a low resolution screen, but you don't expect anything to be much better than that purely because you are just changing settings. The batteries are hidden away underneath this cover. You can actually put 2 sets of batteries in, which would give you a lot of battery life. We've used these Panasonic batteries that the guys at Pack Attack sent us. We've not recharged them once yet, and we've recorded an awful lot of footage. So from that perspective, it doesn't require a lot of power to actually drive this camera. It comes with a strap that you can actually strap to a tree. So it's got a slight kind of bend to the actual chassis. So, you know, it can fit around a tree. So if you want to film something that's a little bit higher or, you know, in positions like that, you can just strap it in. I tend to find that actually using the tripod is actually quite helpful. And the camera, despite it being quite tall and quite heavy, it actually does balance very well.
So we've got the camouflage version of the camera, and I definitely would go down that route unless you were specifically putting it on against a building or, you know, shed or something like that. The camouflage one is definitely more subtle, and it does really feel really durable and well built. It definitely feels very weather resistant and weatherproof, and it's even here in the Welsh borders, I feel very confident this would last through a good winter. The only thing I would say is that when we did position it in kind of really visible areas, so when it was on the tripod tripod, and it was kind of in the middle of like a space, so it wasn't hidden in a tree or strapped to a tree. When it was in an open space, the wildlife kind of do take a little bit of time to adjust to it, so they kind of do notice that there is an alien object in their area. Even our cat kind of walked past and kind of stopped and was like, what's that? He went and checked it out. The ducks, they came to their feeding station. The first night they kind of avoided the feeding station. They came up, saw it and went, and then they kind of left. But then as soon as they realize that it's just an object and not actually a predator or a person or another animal, they just kind of realize that, okay, this is not a threat. So then they do get used to it, and then they will come very close to it and they will just ignore it. But I think if it was in a tree or something hidden or kind of in a bush or a shrub or something, I don't think it would be very noticeable or visible to them at all. It is just when it's like positioned right there.
The motion detection has actually been very good on this. There was only one day where we actually positioned it here at the pond. We've got a lot of overhanging trees where it was quite windy. That actually did trigger it every now and again, but typically if you have got some branches that just waft very gently, it doesn't typically pick up, and it actually does just record the wildlife. The other feature that I really like about it is that you can connect this via USB to your computer, which means that you don't have to be fiddling with the actual unit itself to try and get the SD card out. You basically just connect it, it pops up as a new drive on your computer. Remove the images that you want, delete them, and you're back and ready to go.
It is also worth noting how you're going to use the trail cam. If you're going to be using it like we do a lot of the time on the actual tripod, then it's worth noting where the tripod kind of screw hole is. On this one, it's in a really excellent location. It's positioned way back from the front of the camera so that you can actually open and close it while it's still on the actual tripod itself. We've noticed that other brands in the market, some of those hole positions are in a little bit of an awkward place where you can't then open the camera, so you then have to unscrew the camera from the tripod, then open it, then do your settings, then close it, then put it back onto the tripod, which obviously is really inconvenient. So this one is really well positioned, and we really like that feature.
We mentioned that it is waterproof and weather resistant. The only thing, obviously, when it is raining, the water can sometimes settle on the lens. It makes the picture a little bit blurry. So if it is raining, I would recommend going down and just wiping the lens if you want to continue filming in that kind of environment.
I think generally speaking, trail cams are really convenient in the fact that, for example, we've kind of fallen into security cameras an awful lot over the last few years, and you just don't have that remote access and that convenience factor of just being able to just take a camera out and plonk it somewhere and know A, it's weather resistant and waterproof, and B, that it actually doesn't require cabling and all that kind of stuff. You know, I think that this is really, really convenient for those kind of situations. So you can even use it for like home surveillance or security if you wanted to. You don't always have to actually go to a security camera, which kind of sometimes you forget that. So I think trail cams are really nice because they kind of just cover so much more functionality and features and give you so many more options, where with regards to an actual power plugged in security camera, you're kind of tethered to that exact position, which in some instances obviously is the best option, but you know, if you want something that can be flexible and can be moved around the property, then a trail cam is a really good idea.
All in all, I've been really impressed with this Bushwhacker trail cam. The feature set, the simplicity, the ease of use has just ticked a lot of boxes. And I'd also recommend you check out Pack Attack as a website. They sell trail cams, they sell a variety of different electronics. Their customer support has been excellent. The fact that they recommend the most suitable batteries for this particular camera, the SD cards, etc. It's something that's quite important, because if you do actually fit the wrong batteries on a camera like this, it can burn the IR sensors out. It can do a lot of damage to the camera. So it's just useful to have that kind of expertise from an online retailer.
We've got a couple more trail cam reviews coming up, so if they're up, we'll put them up the link there so you can watch those too. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and ring the bell. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, please just leave them in the comment section below, and we'll definitely try and get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next video. Bye bye.